Peace, peace, and blessings. We here at Newsroom 16.1 is bringing another show from us to you. We're going to be talking about shipment and tariffs, the impact on our wallet, and what does mean for all of us moving forward, dealing with e-commerce. And we're going to get into a little civil war going on in Make America Great Again. We're going to go into two key players in the helping of Donald Trump become president and their feelings towards him after he got elected. People got to understand, when someone vote for a candidate, the people who vote should not stay loyal to that candidate. The candidate should stay loyal to the people who voted for him or her. So I'm your host, Henry, with your co-host, Shin Akuma JML. Welcome again. What's up, Shin?
Hey, man, it's just another day in the neighborhood. We just about to get this show rocking out here. And it seems like it's about to be some real funny times out here when it comes down to these tariffs.
Yes, yeah. For going on 2 months, a lot of people didn't look into what was going on. They hear tariffs this, they heard negotiation this, but people didn't pay attention to how much tariff would affect our wallet. Now Donald Trump is recalibrating some of the tariffs on simple grocery items as bananas, coffee, and beef. The tariff that he got on beef will hurt America farmers because America start buying a large quantity of beef from Argentina, and they just done the currency swap. So Shin, we dealing with a lot of stuff every day, something new going on. So let's get into the first.
That's a heavy toll, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's gonna be tariffs on regular grocery item, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just in the grocery store the other day with my parents, right? I was getting them some fruits and stuff, and like bananas was like $1 and some change, right? On the pound type thing, when you weigh it up. And it's just crazy because like the tariff, like I was talking to you earlier about, they be hitting people, they're starting to hit these countries with 50 to 100% tariff. You know what I'm saying? Like, because remember, they was like, oh, it's going to be only a 20% tariff, right? Yeah. But people ain't understanding the impact that 20% is for. See, when they say, oh, it's only a 20% tariff, that means that it's only a 20% tariff on the good.
Yeah.
And like, so, use another example, like I was telling Henry earlier. Manufactured goods like clothes or shoes. If it costs, if it's costing that country $1 to make the shirt, pay $1.20 because you got to pay that 20% tariff. That's 20, but that's 20% on the good. Then you might have to pay a 50 to 100% import tariff, meaning that to get it past the custom officer when it gets to the ports. That's where a lot of people see that tariff because a lot of corporations, they don't have to pay that import tariff. They only got to pay the manufacturing tariff. They don't got to pay the import duties. And like I was saying to Henry earlier, like if we're talking about manufacturing, it's one thing, but then you talk about importers like Walmart importing 1 million of them shirts. So is Walmart gonna pay the 100% import duty on them shirts? No, they ain't. They ain't even gonna pay $1 to import it because we already know. Notifying Henry earlier with that too. The CEO of Walmart is gonna call up his lobbyist, whoever it is, right away. It don't matter. Like I said, if he was on a vacation in the Bahamas, he is getting called up on his direct line, and the CEO of Walmart is going to ask him what's going on, that he got to pay 100% import tariff on whatever it is he's trying to get through customs. And which we know is never going to happen because them people is well paid, them lobbyists. So they're going to be ensuring that their corporate America buddies in the import business is not going to be affected. But like Henry said already earlier, it's going to affect those of us who are independent business owners that have e-commerce business. Because now when we was just last year, a couple of years before, e-commerce has become a booming business, especially for people who want to make it as like a side hustle or they want to get extra income. And it's not like you have to put in the work of a full-time job in order to maintain a good e-commerce business, especially with AI. But now with the shipping handling looking like it's going to get hit with 50% to 100% tariff, depending on what country it's coming from, it's not even worth getting in. It's not even worth getting the business international now. You know, like now you got inside the U.S. and you got to make sure that the stuff you're selling is manufactured in the U.S. So you're trying to avoid them duties.
Yeah. And also dealing with regular people who not into the e-commerce, but the shoppers, the consumers. We dealing with someone who go on Temu or Alibaba and buy something that only $10. Because what they doing, they are buying straight from the manufacturer, then the middleman. And the middleman is someone like Walmart who get things in bulk. But if you get something small shipped to you and it through the regular mail under $10, a lot of time they look at that as being insignificant, too small to actually care about, to actually put a tariff or put a tax on it. And we're going to get into the terminology of that and more.
Yeah,
So
that's where we're wrong because see, that's what they originally was saying. Because think about it, a 20% tariff on a $10 order is only $2, right? That's insignificant. $2 is insignificant to the United States government. That $2 is insignificant for that one item. But if they can charge you that $2 plus 100% import duty when it gets to the port, now that $10 item went from $12 to $24. You see, that's how they're gonna. And that $12 they just made is double. It's that they basically bought that item. You bought two of those items and you only got one.
Yeah, so let's get into the video.
The postal services of Mexico, India, Japan, and several other countries have suspended the shipment of packages to the U.S. as a result of President Donald Trump's tariffs and new rules implemented by his administration that end duty exemptions for lower value shipments entering the country known as the de minimis rule. Mexico joined a growing list of countries whose postal services have temporarily suspended package shipments to the U.S. and said it's engaging in dialogue with U.S. officials and, quote, international postal organizations to define mechanisms that would allow for the orderly resumption of services. According to the July executive order ending the de minimis exemption, shipments will face a levy of $80 per item if they're sent from a country with a tariff rate of less than 16%. The price increases to $160 per item for countries with tariff rates between 16 and 25%, and to $200 for countries with rates above 25%. Earlier this week, the postal services of Australia, Taiwan, and Japan also announced a halt in the shipment of packages, although this pause will not impact letters, documents, and postcards. A week earlier, India, the UK, and dozens of European Union members, including France, Germany, and Italy, announced a similar pause in shipments. Several other countries in the Asia-Pacific region, including South Korea and Singapore, also halted shipments last week. In April, Trump signed an executive order to eliminate the provision for imports from China and Hong Kong, which went into effect in May. The de minimis exemptions on shipments from other countries are set to end on Friday as per an executive order signed late last month.
Yeah, see, they're not even talking about that. That's not even the import duty either, Henry. That's the per package. That's not even because you got to go across customs. That's just for you to ship the package.
So yeah, so when someone ship a small package from, say, Mexico, you buying a T-shirt, you just getting that T-shirt. You're not getting it as far as to the point in bulk. You getting it for an individual call, and by it coming through the mail, they are hitting you. They're hitting you with a fee.
That would be in the shipping and handling now. Like, so instead of it being like $10 for shipping and handling, now it's going to be $80 if it's the minimum tariff.
So explain to us this concept. I have put it on the screen. We could chop on that and much more.
You want me to read it?
Yes. Explain it to us. What they trying to show us.
All right. Well, it says after the de minimis shipping rule has ended for parcels from China to the United States on May 2nd, this was also extended to all countries by Trump administration on August 29th. The minimis rules say that incoming goods under a certain value are not subject to import duties and some taxes. While the rule was changed, the rule was explained in the case of China, but also Canada, with stopping of unregistered import of fentanyl or its ingredients to the U.S. Most parcels affected will come from e-commerce platforms, with Chinese imports taking up the bulk of the de minimis shipments. The ability of Chinese e-commerce sellers to create large business footprints overseas while skirting many of the dues of a traditional export business has caused their discontent in the U.S. and elsewhere. Chinese enterprises following this business model, for example, Temu or Shein, were quickly shifting were quickly to shift to bulk imports to the U.S. currently at a tariff of 30% below that collected on small parcels. Now that's just saying that it's basically saying that they were basically getting past the tariffs by selling these e-commerce items to individuals, consumers like us, like how we were just saying, Temu and stuff like that. But if you ask me, now that I get that I see that, it looks a lot like the United States is really not trying to let China make all that money, and the United States not make any of the money back that the U.S. consumers are spending on those manufactured Chinese goods. So it definitely seems like it's a little bit funny, but I feel like they've already found a way around it, like they said. So then they're gonna have it be like, so then if people like 100 people put in orders at Temu, they're gonna ship all the stuff at one time to LA. And then when it gets to LA, that's when they're gonna package it up individually and then send it in the US Postal Service, because then they only gotta pay 30% on the tariff for that bulk shipment. So it seems like they've already found a way around it. And the Joe Biden administration in September had announced steps like protecting certain industries and keeping certain questionable products by exempting them from de minimis, while at the same time increasing reporting requirements, citing concerns about high parcel volumes, concealing illicit substances, as well as trade fairness in the light of the Chinese burgeoning e-commerce by international shipment sector. Recent reporting also points out how many of the products shipped from the likes of Shein et al. Are not up to quality standards, which cause complaints from consumer protection bodies. Data republished by the Department of Commerce shows that around 100 countries around the world employ de minimis in order to speed up international shipping. However, the maximum value such parcels can have varies widely. The U.S. former $800 threshold had been one of the highest in the world, while the EU imposed charges on imports much lower value above 150, approximately $157, while China and de minimis rule are also more strict, with any tax or duty under 50 yuan, renminbi, which approximately is $7, considered void. This would, for most products, be in line with the value of $99 or less. The country also already has a more refined approach to de minimis, with a pre-registration and approval system for e-commerce traders in place that allows for higher exemptions at discretion of the government. Other countries have also posed additional hurdles to de minimis, for example, not allowing B2B shipments or specific goods, or others allow neighbors or certain major trade partners to take advantage of a bigger de minimis allowance.
So if I'm a small business and I do t-shirts and I order $800 worth of t-shirts and material from this company in China, they would charge me by mail.
Now they would, but before they wouldn't. They wouldn't even charge you for that. They'd let it go. But like I was saying before, it seems like a plot by the United States government to make money on items that they wouldn't be otherwise making any money on. Because you got to think about it, right? If we're buying these Temu items, Shein items, the money is not coming back into the United States. That value is leaving permanently. You know, it's kind of like the same thing with the neighborhoods. Like, you know what I'm talking about? With the ethnicity, with the neighborhoods. We went over that before on a different show that we had, Henry, where in certain low-income neighborhoods, so-called black dollars leave the neighborhood immediately as soon as people get the money. And then it doesn't come back to the neighborhood. Yeah. So now it's a similar, the United States is trying to avoid a similar problem with this Chinese manufacturing and shipping, because they won't be making any money out of it back. So now they're basically trying to find a way to make money off of sales that they didn't make or American companies didn't make.
So it's like a few years ago when states took it onto themselves and said, hey, doing e-commerce, you buying online and getting it shipped in the state was losing money, because if a Walmart is in your state, or mom and pop or dollar store is in your city, sale taxes would be revenue to help them. So right. If you cut off Walmart and all these other companies and you getting it through the mail, a lot of money is not going to help your state or the federal government as a whole.
Yep, and that's why they started charging sales tax online.
Yes.
And you know what's even dirtier, right? Is now they're starting to charge you tax on the video games. And I don't mean the actual game, like when you buy the actual game. I'm talking about in-game purchases. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like if you're playing Call of Duty, you want to buy the new gun. If you're playing Call of Duty, you want to buy the new gun. Say it's $20, $19.99. Now, if you're in Rhode Island, it's a 7% sale tax. So now they got to tack that on.
So buying off, because I heard about in-game purchase, because like I know several people that have PlayStation and also Xbox, and they buy their games from the system itself, and it's saved into the game, then buying a CD, a disc, I say a disc, or a cartridge. You get it online purchase. So with them purchase is coming fees.
In retail, when I was working in the cash register in CVS and Dollar General, I seen the evolution of that, because they used to charge you the tax when you buy the card. Like, so say you buy like a $20 PlayStation Network, right? You buy a $20 PlayStation Network card, they would charge you the sales tax right there on the 20. So you'd have to pay $21.40, right? Because it's 7%. So just so people know, 7% sales tax in Rhode Island. So it would have been $21.40 for the card. Where in the last year, they weren't charging the tax on the purchase of the card, because they think they're slick, because they can get more tax money than the $1.40 based on online purchases out of that 20. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So now they can charge you in the game instead. And now you say, oh yeah, I'm going to buy my kid this card for the Roblox, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You think you're giving them 20, but really it's not even 20. It's maybe like really $15 to $18 because they still got to use that sales tax in the in-game purchase. They think they're smart. And it doesn't make sense because in the real world, it makes sense that they're doing that. Because it's traveling. The packages is traveling, right?
Yeah.
So that is that the mailman got to bring it, or UPS, FedEx, whoever. It got to fly across the ocean if it's next day shipping, 3 to 5 day shipping. You know what I'm saying? Where it would have came normally on the cargo ship, right?
Yeah.
You know how it is, Henry. If you don't pick that option to send it and pay a little bit of extra money, that Temu John is going to take 2 months to get to your house. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to take a while for that John to get there because it got to come on the ship, et cetera, et cetera. Then it doesn't make sense, though, on the digital because the digital is not even in this realm. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. A lot of they had a lot of problems
realm.
with Alibaba and their shipment.
Bro, I'm telling you, listen, PlayStation Online is not in the reality realm, right? It's in the virtual realm.
Yes.
So how can the United States charge somebody a tax if it's not even in the United States? That don't make sense. That's like you being in England on vacation and you go to buy an ice cream cone and they charge you Maryland state tax over there. Oh, but you're from Maryland, so we got to charge you taxes for the United States. How does that even sound? You know what I'm saying? That don't even sound right. You're not even in Maryland. We gotta stop letting the government take advantage of our dollars. You know, it's already bad enough that they took advantage with the food stamp. Which they did take advantage because a lot of people don't realize that the United States that 1 week they didn't give food stamp. That was 1 week the United States government was making money off that. Because remember, they didn't have to pay out. So they wasn't losing money. Remember, if you're not losing money, then you're generating money. So they didn't pay the food stamp. Now they got us having to pay $80 for one package from Mexico. So Henry, if you bought, so think about it. You said your friends, they play Xbox, right? Xbox is made in Mexico, manufactured in Mexico. So now if your friends need to get a new laser or a new hard drive or a new controller or anything of that nature, they're going to have to pay that $80 shipment. So guess what it does? Now it forces your friends who have the Xbox to get up, go to Walmart, buy the $80 controller in Walmart just to avoid paying that $80 tariff.
Yeah.
And that's 100%. Remember what I said to people? That's 100% import duty because the controller went from being $80 in retail in Walmart that if you would have bought it on shipping, it would have been $160. So just think about that. That's how, and now but like I was saying before, they're not enforcing that import duty on Walmart because Walmart got those Xbox controllers from the manufacturing factory in Mexico. So you got to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Walmart ain't gonna pay that tariff. Walmart just bought 100,000 of them controllers. You know what I mean? Is that gonna be a 100% import duty on 100,000 controllers? You know, is that
very interesting.
It's kind of wild how they think they can pull a fast one like that.
Well, while these tariffs and these new shipment rules was getting in place, Congress was in recess. See, this, like dealing with food stamp, this was the longest shutdown that America really faced it, because before they even announced the shutdown was taking place, Congress was on recess. They was on recess because people gotta realize what was hanging over Congress' heads. It was a vote on exposing Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein case.
Yep, make sure you go back and check them shows out where we went into that.
Even when Charlie Kirk, rest in peace, when he passed away and the news was fresh, they was going to pass the legislation and they denied it.
And
So they was waiting.
while they was on recess, they had two other votes whether or not to release the Epstein files. And they voted it down, unanimous vote down. Remember, they couldn't even vote unanimous to open the government.
Right.
But they was voting unanimous on voting off the not releasing the Epstein files. And how is the government closed? But they can initiate brand new taxes without legislation. That doesn't make any sense to me, Henry. I don't know if that makes sense to you. That's like your job being closed, right? Let's say, for example, you work at the gas station, right? That's like the gas station being closed. But the price of the gas, it goes up. But the gas station closed.
But I'm gonna bring a little history, because this something that been going on since I was a young, close to teenage years. So it been going on for 15 some years or more. We have, I say, what's his name? Let me not mess up his name. Alex Jones. Some people believe he's a quack. Some people believe that Alex Jones is a quack. Some of the things he might have talked about wasn't sensible. But
Let me
something that...
say this about Alex Jones real quick for everybody. I got 2 points on Alex Jones, because I've been watching Alex Jones since the mid 2000, 2007, 2008. That's when I started watching Alex Jones, when I got put on with Alex Jones. Alex Jones has evidence for almost everything he says. Everything he says. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't matter about, it's just like us with the news. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter your personal opinions of me or Henry. It doesn't matter. Because the information that we're bringing has nothing to do with us personally. You know what I'm saying? It's not personal. We're not telling you about the tariffs and stuff like that because we're making it personal. It's not personal to us in that fashion, where we're the ones doing putting the tariffs on people, or we're even really giving our personal opinions on these subjects that we speak on in general on the channel. Alex Jones does the same thing. He says a lot of extreme things, but it's just like Kanye West. You know what I'm saying? They understand one thing. Shock value gets people's attention.
And let me explain this right here. The shock value that got my attention was Pizzagate. That large people in power have the fetish for young children. And out of that, it was alleged that Democrats and Republicans, people high up Hollywood, the boule, figures that lurks in the dark or lurks in our face, who hold extreme power, is in pedophilia. And fast forwarded through to Obama era, going into Donald Trump, we heard that Russiagate, that is the Russians that have something on Donald Trump. For us now doing Donald Trump's second term, we realizing that it wasn't the Russians who had anything on him. It was individuals that deal with Mossad, the IDF, and that is people who deal with the country of Israel and deal with various figures that dealing with CIA and Cobra Missing. And that is an individual, you would say, Jeffrey Epstein, a broker.
Hey, remember too, don't forget when you're gonna say that about Epstein, you gotta say it correctly. He was a CIA asset. You know what I'm saying? So people don't think that because we're not making allegations here. These are things that's proven facts that you can go check and look these things up.
Yeah.
These are known facts. We're not bringing out anything that we're guessing. We're in anything that's questionable, we're gonna say allegedly, or we're gonna tell you that it's not, that it hasn't been solidified with evidence to back it up. It's obvious from the congressional support of not releasing the Epstein files that Epstein had to be a CIA asset, because if not, they would have released that. If that was a regular person, let's say it wasn't Jeffrey Epstein, right? Let's say it was somebody else, right? Even if they was like a reputable member of society type, high level like Epstein, right? But they wasn't a CIA asset. Let's say that they was running a Fortune 500 company, right? But they're not a CIA asset. They would have exposed them all the way. Let's be honest. If it was Mike Tyson, they would expose them.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? If it was P. Diddy, they would expose them. You know what I'm saying? If it was other people, they would expose them. But it's because Jeffrey Epstein is a CIA asset that they can't and I think that really it has nothing to do with exposing the rings, right? It has nothing to do with exposing the rings or these individuals who is involved in these transactions. What it has to do with is they're not trying to expose the methodologies that the CIA uses to infiltrate. Because when you release them files, You're not just going to get people's names. You're going to find out how they got them names. Because remember, everybody in America gets due process.
Yeah.
Especially, and you know, if they're gonna start calling out congressional people, millionaires, billionaires, they're gonna have some heavy lawyers.
Yes, and we dealing with blackmail. Same thing that occurred through President Bill Clinton. If you go a certain way and you don't follow our directive, we're gonna expose you.
Hey, you seen the new exposure on that? You know, we don't got to get too deep on the show because that's a little graphic, but it has to do with the former President Bill Clinton and the current president. You know what I'm saying? We don't really got to get too deep with it, but you know, see, and credit Henry for that because he said that on the previous show about these topics with the Epstein list that they was going to end up exposing Bill Clinton anyway. He said that himself. You know what I mean? Like, so, and they exposed Bill Clinton all the way because they was trying to expose Trump, but not directly expose him. Notice they was like, it's like a warning, like even for like letting us American people know too, like that the IDF Mossad is probably the key players in the reason why the Congress ain't okay in the Epstein files getting released.
Yes, you know? And we seeing now COVID means are just outright in our face telling us, hey, we gonna spy, we gonna lobby, we gonna even get your preachers. Your preachers gonna support us, or we gonna expose them or get them out of the placement where they are. We're gonna go for platforms like TikTok, and then the next target is Elon Musk and Twitter. This not coming out of my mouth. This coming out of Benjamin Netanyahu's mouth.
See, and
so if I say I'm shooting names out there, we know where this coming from.
See, but you gotta realize too, Henry, right? They're getting these Christian pastors and all that with the same leverage that they're doing the politicians. They got the same leverage because remember, let's do a call back to another show. Now remember, they got the Israeli cyber defense in Las Vegas.
Yes.
Right? On them same type charges, right? Them PDF files.
Wait. For the people who just tuning in and haven't seen that show, it's good to go back and watch our shows because we break down a lot of things. So there was a advisor to Benjamin Netanyahu. He was the cyber expert of Israel. He came to America for a conference, to a computer conference, to deal with spyware and to fight cybercrime. But on the side, he was using his computer to lure an underage girl to meet him for prostitution. But on the other end, there was a police thing. They arrested him and they arrested a Christian preacher, the same type that is pro-Israel, Judo Christianity. he got arrested. The Israeli advisor, cyber advisor, he got arrested. But that same day, he got released. He jumped on the airplane, and he is not coming back to America.
And see,
And
Henry,
the person who released him,
that's for the evidence that Israel, the IDF, Mossad got leverage on these pastors. The same type of leverage that they got on the politicians. Being PDF files, being involved in human trafficking. You know what I'm saying? Remember, and it's sad because R. Kelly and Diddy is in the Bing right now on them same type charges. But wasn't nobody covering up their stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it just shows you it's a massive difference when you when you're in the let's just say in Netanyahu's pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're in Netanyahu's pocket, all things is possible.
So let's go into the clip.
New details emerging from the more than 20,000 newly released documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, some mentioning President Trump. In email exchanges with a New York Times reporter in 2015, Epstein suggesting reporters ask my houseman about Donald almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool, and he was so focused, he walked straight into the door. And there was this exchange in 2018 with someone whose name has been redacted. That person writing, "They're really just trying to take down Trump and doing whatever they can to do that." Epstein replying, "It's wild because I am the one able to take him down."
Congratulations, you're now a member of the 119th Congress.
Just moments after being sworn in yesterday, Arizona Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva became the 218th and final signature needed on a petition to force a vote on releasing all of the Epstein files.
Justice cannot wait another day.
Speaker Mike Johnson now saying the House will vote on the issue. Opponents worry about protecting the privacy of the victims.
We're going to put that on the floor for a full vote next week.
In an attempt to stop the petition, top White House and Justice Department officials attempted to pressure Congresswoman Lauren Boebert into removing her name from it, meeting with her in the Situation Room, but her name stayed on the petition.
The Department of Justice has not turned over anything of consequence. None of it relates to the types of evidence that would reveal the co-conspirators or others who were involved. That's why the discharge petition is so important.
So we have thousands of paperwork dealing with flight logs, who jumped on Epstein airplane, logs that show people who went visit Epstein Island. The man kept tabs on famous people and politicians. He had bankers who gave him loans. He had friends in high places. And he himself said he could take Donald Trump down. Epstein. They got people in a row because the American people want to know who is these people in power and what type of behavior that they show in the dark. And it's shocking to a lot of people who voted Donald Trump in and other politicians for them to be transparent.
Hey,
let
let's
us
not
know these things.
While you said that, we got to make sure we emphasize that Trump and a lot of those people who got into Congress in 2023 was running on that they was going to release the Epstein file. A lot of them was running on that. That was one of their the Republicans hammer it home type messages to get votes, was they was going to release the Epstein file.
And we're not saying that, to be bipartisan, no, to just pick one side. It's both sides. All through Joe Biden presidency, the Democrats could have showed the information. Now Donald Trump, is your time you in office, and this information could be shown to the people, but the Justice Department under you, Donald Trump, do not want to expose this information.
I think it's because, like you just said in that video, a lot of the names is redacted. So if but then again, in the same hand, that doesn't make sense, because if you're trying to, if the names is redacted, if certain names is redacted out of the paperwork, then that means you should be able to release the paperwork already, because you already edited it.
Yeah.
To protect whoever you had to protect, the victims, the people who was snitching. You know what I'm saying? They already redacted the information.
So
and from the files that they've let out so far, it's been heavily redacted. This whole page is just black lines.
So Donald Trump recently said, hey, I want to do an investigation into people like Bill Clinton, other individuals, and even J.P. Morgan Chase. They want to know who is who, what connections, and I feel like this should have been out.
Yeah, but they already went into that, Henry, on the low. You know what I mean? They did it overtly, but covertly at the same time. Because after Trump signed the big, beautiful bill in the beginning of August, the FBI went up into all the major banks in America and took possession of the banks, but let the banks still run in a regular capacity because of these investigations.
Yeah, so we got two individuals who supported Donald Trump when he was running for president, but these two individuals we got on film and stuff, we got a caption of them. They seeing that been bamboozled. They like, make America great again. And they like, we voted for Trump to keep us out these forever war and to not be like the other politicians. So now we're going to go into Miss Teller. I'm going to say Teller Green. She like, let this information go. If I see the list, I'm going to read it to the people. And she saying no to forever war with for the state of Israel. So let's go into her speaking.
Yeah, it's a scary thing to name names, but I will tell you, I'm not afraid to name names. And so if they want to give me a list, I will walk in that Capitol on the House floor and I'll say every damn name that abused these women. I can do that for them, and I'd be proud to do it. Now, another thing, this is not about politics. And this is a boiling point in American history where the American people, just like Roe just said, there's become two Americas. There's the America for the rich and the powerful and the elite, where they never face any struggles or problems and never experience what real America goes through. And then there's forgotten America that faces all the problems and deals with all the issues and never gets justice for being sexually assaulted and raped by a monster. It shouldn't exist anymore, and people are sick of it. So let's recognize the fact that the administration before and the one before it and the one before it and the one before it and before it never did anything about this. So this isn't one political party or the other. It's a culmination of everyone work together to silence these women and protect Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal.
Two things real quick, right? Number one, it's not Jeffrey Epstein's. That's where she's wrong about that. Because she's saying that like he's the ringleader of the whole thing, which he ain't the ringleader of the whole thing, trust me. Because if he was the ringleader of the whole thing, he's dead now, so it would have been shut down already. You know what I mean? It would have been shut down.
Yeah.
Secondly, I want to say it's people like her that let you know that the people who vote down on releasing the Epstein files, those people's names is on the list. Those people's names is in the files. Because she wouldn't be adamantly supporting releasing the files and speaking the names of the people in the files if her name was in the files. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She wouldn't be talking about bring out the Epstein files. She'll read it right now, even if they give her the debriefing. So she said that, which I don't know why she would say that. She should have just waited until they did it and then did it, and then just did it. But because she warned them ahead of time that she would do it, but she said she's basically saying right there she's willing to risk her congressional seat to violate the terms of agreement of being a congressperson to be able to release that information.
Yeah.
So obviously her name is not on that list. You know what I'm saying? And with the way that she's speaking about it, with the passion, the compassion, and the vigor in her voice, she probably already knows the victims. You know what I'm saying? She knows who's the victims. Because you got to think about it, right? If people is victims of the Epstein files, in the Epstein files, they probably already went to their Congress people, because a lot of them, like, you think about what that guy said, who was the Speaker in the House. He said, oh, we're trying to do whatever it takes so we can release the files, but still protect the victims.
Yes.
The victims do not want to be protected like that. The victims want to get justice. You know what I'm saying? They want to see their attackers, like Ms. Green just said, they want to see their attackers brought to justice. You know what I mean? And that's it. And I feel like that's something that she's 100% correct on. And it doesn't just fall to the Epstein list either, right? We already know, as melanated people in America, we're part of that the forgotten class, right? Where we could go into certain situations like that kid, that boy who was found rolled up in the gym mat with all his organs gone.
Yes.
Who never got justice. They never did an investigation. You know what I'm saying? So we already know that these powerful, quote unquote, powerful, rich people use their ability to bribe people blackmail people, leverage people in order to not get in trouble. And it's terrible because law-abiding citizens have no recourse in defending themselves from that. Because think about it. If they can do this to hide the Epstein list, then they could pay the same type of money to hide anything.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it gets even worse. Hold on, let me just say this last part. And it gets even worse when you throw Netanyahu, the Mossad, and the IDF into the mix.
Yes, and it's a shame. But this is what we facing in America. And it's like she said also, through this administration, through the administration before this administration, the administration before this, the administration before this been going on for years. This is not something that, Thursday, something happened just Thursday and they try to cover it up. No, this been going on for years. People before they even got into politics, people while they was in politics. We dealing with people who own news
Let's
companies.
just say loosely it's like the early 80s. Loosely. Yeah. And that's from the different facts that me and Henry have dug up and brought out on previous shows. The earliest we can confirm something that's not an allegation is in the early 80s, like around 82, 83.
Yes. The war between Israel and Gaza, between that and Epstein,
right?
People who make America great again, they still make America great again because they feel like that slogan is American first. They are American firsters, not Zionist first, not communist China first, not Canadian first or Great Britain first. They're America first. No war for America. We don't need it. And they like, hey, we doing the dirty work for Benjamin Netanyahu, and we also covering up some valuable information dealing with the RAPE of young ladies. So let's hear a little bit of Candace Owens.
Well, let's be clear. Right now, the people applauding Donald Trump are Meghan McCain, Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz ran against Donald Trump, and John McCain, with his dying breath, was an ever-Trumper, with his dying breath. And I remember Meghan McCain standing at his funeral saying, this country was always great. It never needed to be made great again, to take a stab at Trump, even as she was giving words for her father, which is remarkable, right? So if Trump is aligning himself with the people that didn't support him, and the people that did support him are saying what he's doing is wrong, that doesn't mean that MAGA betrayed Trump. That means that Trump is betraying MAGA, okay? MAGA is a term, make America great again. And it was because the American people felt like our country was in a steep decline while we were being told that we had to build up every other country with programs. We had to spread democracy in the Middle East. That's been a remarkable failure. And at the same time, our veterans are coming home and they're being treated like crap. We talked about the farmers, we talked about the ranchers. That was the vision that Donald Trump painted that made me get behind him. And I took a lot of votes for that. And I still don't regret voting for him against Kamala Harris because I still believe he was a better candidate. But this is a betrayal, plain and simple. There's no other way to say that.
And it's crazy that she says that because that's why I didn't vote. Remember, Henry, I said I didn't vote, right? I told y'all self-determination. self-representation with self-determination. That's the international law. See, people don't understand that part. That's sovereignty. That means I represent myself. I don't need to give anybody consent to make any decisions for me. If I'm going to make a decision, I'm going to make it for myself. I don't need somebody to say yes or no for me. And secondly, shout out to your dad, the Witchfinder General, you know, because he said it right on that show. Because what she said, oh, the democracy in the Middle East has been a huge failure. No, it hasn't. Because those people who is in power in America got to do their money laundering and kickback schemes to perfection. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to your dad for that, because that in itself is a key effect of them covering up these lewd and perversions of charges, right? Because if they open up that can of worms, who knows what we're going to find out once you get one of these Congress people on that military tribunal into that, in that, and they get that JAG officer in there grilling them for interrogation. They might start giving up other plots, other schemes that they got going on to get out of getting hit with a 15-year bid on some human trafficking violations.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's very, it's interconnected. Because think about it, they're gonna say, so they're gonna be in the back. Like, think about it, that girl they just showed, right? I forgot what her name is because that was quick. She came on and came off quick. That girl who wanted to she wanted to keep her name on the list for voting to release the Epstein files, but she didn't want her name public. You know what I'm talking about? How they just showed that?
Yeah.
So that to me is peculiar behavior, because it shows that behind the closed doors, they're already negotiating the release of the files in a way where, like, say, for example, let's just be, I'm just making up a hypothetical situation. This is not actuality, even though technically I have seen the Epstein list, but I'm not saying anything that you could speak on, because remember, it comes off the Nancy Pelosi laptop files from January 6th. So it's classified information. So I'm not going to say nothing about that stuff, because that's allegedly still, because they didn't release the files. But say, for example, because I'm from Rhode Island, so I'm just going to use Rhode Island as the example. Say, like, somebody from the House of Representatives in Rhode Island is on the Epstein list, right?
Yeah.
Now they're in the House right now. So now, before they go into session, they could be in the back rooms and all that, talking about, listen, we can't let these names out because, remember, see, people got to remember, when they're in them back rooms, it's the same thing like being in court and you go to the judge chamber.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Henry? That's privacy, meaning, like, it's the same thing like if you're talking to your lawyer. Nothing that's said in the judge's chamber can be used against you in the court in the front. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not, because it's a private endeavor when you go back there. So it's the same thing with the Congress when they're meeting, but it's not in the floor, right?
Yeah.
So they could be like, listen, they're out of the 200 and some or 300 and some people in the Congress, 185 of us is on this list right now. That's in this seat right now. And we can't, if we can tell, it's gonna disrupt the Congress. Because think about that. And remember, I'm just saying hypothetically. I'm not saying anything even allegedly right now. I'm just saying a hypothetical, rhetorical situation. It's rhetoric. I'm not saying anything true or false or any narrative or nothing like that. I'm just saying a general statement of. Now think about that. If it's 271 or something like that members in the House of Representatives, right, Henry?
Yeah.
185 of them is on the list. Do you think the Congress overall is going to vote to release the list?
We got a lot of traitors doing a lot of
It's
treason
times right now.
things. We got senators who dual citizens of a different country. And we see their loyalty is not committed to the American people. We have lobbyists who paying money to politicians and influence the directions that this country should go. We getting our freedom of speech slowly but surely eroding in our face. Certain things you say that was okay a few months ago is getting banned. Some people,
Hey,
if
let's
you're
not
a
forget we're
foreigner,
risking our freedom right now too, to a certain capacity, because they had passed that new law about if they feel like what you're saying about Israel, or any of those converts. That's why we gotta use different words. We can't be speaking on them directly in the sense of the trigger words. You know what I mean? Them trigger words. Because now they might try to come kick our door down and bring us to jail in our own country for exercising the First Amendment rights.
True. And it's a lot to unfold, but we here at News mean never in the working service. We never gonna stop serving you, the people. We gonna still deal with the information when it hit us, and we gonna come and discuss it. You, the people, have the power to come, hit the like, to share, and subscribe. You could share the information to other people so they could awake to the truth. Not the woke movement, but awaken up from the BS and see what's going on in front of us. We paying more for things. We have politicians who dictating our future. And in the past, things that occur in the past is getting exposed. Whatever in the darkness is coming to light. We not picking sides here. We saying the Democrats and the Republicans are wrong. The individuals who dealt and who hurt people, the victims, are knew about these situations, but they did not say nothing to help these individuals. We here at News saying, I hope the victims of these heinous crimes could find justice. To find justice. And we, the people, want to find the truth. It's a shame that we got to talk about it, but it need to get talked about. Food prices is rising. Food stamps is not coming on to people EBT card fast enough or effective
Oh,
enough.
and you heard about that too with the food stamp, right? You heard about the new thing with the food stamp?
Which part? Tell us. Let us know.
They said that the Trump administration is now going to enforce that everybody who's on food stamp got to reapply now. It doesn't matter if you already applied or you're in your window because usually it's a 90-day to 6-month window to a year where you got to reapply, right? But because they want to get the leverage because they lost all the power when the judicial put the food stamp on by court order. The Trump administration lost a lot of power right there, like perceived power. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So now he wants to regain the leverage by saying now everybody got to reapply. Because you know why? Because that way they can handpick, the administration can handpick who's going to get their food stamp and who's not. Who's going to stay on the food stamp and who's not. You know what I'm saying? This is a way for them to maintain their overall position without having to not give the food stamp. They're still gaining power because, I'm not against what Trump was saying about certain able-bodied working age people who's not working, not getting food stamp. I'm not against that. Because if you're able-bodied and you could go to work, you need to go to work. You need to go to work. Especially if you're trying to apply to get food stamp, you need to go to work.
Yes.
I agree with that part. Just like they were saying something about the same thing with Social Security. With Social Security checks. That now if you're able-bodied and you're getting not able-bodied, obviously. If you're disabled or you're handicapped, but you have the capacity to work part-time and you're not working part-time, they're going to start trying to take away people's Social Security checks now, too, for that. For not having a part-time job. And it's one of those things where it's like the Epstein list. They're trying to do whatever they can to assert their power on people when we know this is supposed to be a republic, a democratic republic, where the government is supposed to be for the people, not the government is supposed to be exerting, enforcing authoritarianism on the people. Tyranny,
Yeah.
And it's getting bad, Henry. And now they want to put 100%.
It's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that was hidden from us, the people, and then now we seeing things, and it's like it's a wake up call. It's a wake up call that things is getting worse before it getting better because we seeing the arresting and the harassment of people who speaking the truth. We have people calling someone like Carson Tucker, a NAZIS lover. When we as the people know he's not that. He just don't like. He's an American first. He don't hate Israel. He don't hate the converts. He just feel like America need to stand up for America.
See, it's kind of funny, like when you think about it, because it's like history repeating itself, right? Now, it's like we going back to the 1960s and 1970 with this type stuff, right? 1980 too. We could say 1980s too, because you know how it was, Henry. He put let's throw Henry in jail or internment because he's a suspected communist. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm talking about from the 80s, 70s, the 60s. If they thought you was with them Soviets, you was going to jail.
But they're going to open a president that it's going to open up a Pandora box that the same people who rooting for the investigation, arresting of some of these journalists and some of these influencers, got to realize when it's your turn. See, it's a Republican now, but when a Democrat come, then they do that on their watch. You can't be wishy-washy and you can't be a hypocrite and say, no, they doing this to us. No, stop. Because y'all making it okay during this presidency, it's going to go to the next.
And let's not forget, not that the same people who are enacting them laws that's going to get people jammed up like that, their name on the Epstein list, that they are using the law to avoid prosecution.
Yeah.
The same people who's prosecuting us for speaking on certain subjects, you know what I mean, aka Israel, you know what I mean, them people. That's why, I feel like, and it's funny too, because think about it, the law expressly states that they're locking people up for speaking out against Israel, right? But they're not saying in the laws that they're locking people up for speaking out against Jewish people, though, individually.
Yes.
You see that? See, so how is it? You got to think about that, Henry, because this is some real psycho type stuff right here. Psychology. They played the word game on folks, because everybody hears, oh, you'll do a 5-year bid for talking bad about Israel. So they automatically assume that means that if you're talking about Jewish people, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
When you can't be discriminating against a country. You can't discriminate against a country. You know what I'm saying? A country is not physical. It's not a physical body. You can't be like, oh, you're being racist against Israel. Now you could say that against some Jewish folks, like, you know what I'm saying? You're being racist against or discriminating against Jewish folks, but you can't say that against a country because you don't like a political country.
I'm like this. In the Constitution, we have the right of freedom of speech. When Black Lives Matter went through that chaos, they was like, let them destroy this stuff. Democrats was right on their side. Republicans was crying wolf. When they start talking bad about the individuals who was getting hurt by officers, they showed a particular type of energy. Now I'm like, save that energy and use that same type of energy with the situation now. When American people is tired of the government chucking and driving, and the government picking other nations over the interests of its own citizens. Enough is enough. We need to help our people here to never end the work in service, to serve the people. So this our show for tonight. I don't know what y'all call long or not. I didn't want to make it a 2-hour show or so. I just wanted to drop the information on you and help you to think of what's going on around us. We're not here to drop propaganda and shove information through your throat. We not trying to make you think the way that we think or what we believe or what we know about things. That we just here to say, hey, this is what's going on around us. We can discuss. We can see this through another lens. So
you know what it is, Henry. We just give the information, and let people do what they have to do with it in their own mind, because not everybody has the same type of deductive reasoning, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to just give people that don't like to really do too much on the show controversial, like alleged allegations, and we don't get into those type of things here. We try to stay away from those type of propaganda and controversy because it's questionable, and that's not doing anybody service, by putting out opinion or putting out our own, what we believe is facts, or it's not actual information. That's why we just drop information. You see us give the videos, you see us bring out actual documentations for what we're speaking on, and we try to stay away from our personal opinions on these matters. Like, even when it comes to Israel, even when it comes to these converts, you know what I'm saying? We don't speak our own individual biases on these topics. We're just giving information out, we're saying generalities, and it's up to you, the viewer, to actively participate in society and decide what's best for yourself.
Yes. And this is mainly what we're going to talk about. Thank y'all for coming through the show and viewing the show. Thank for the individuals who hit the comment section. We love when you hit the comment section. It show interaction, and that's what we want. We want people to come and interact with us. We don't bite. We don't bite at all. We not trying to attack our guests. Your comment is free. It's your freedom of speech, and that help us to focus and to work together and discuss. Never in the work of service. We for the community, and we want to evolve ourselves with the community. So thank you, the community, for coming through and thank everybody for helping us reach 1,080 subs. A few more will be 1.1K. That means we growing slowly but surely. And we appreciate everyone for watching the live video, for watching our downloads, our uploads, and also on the shorts. Appreciate you all for the support. As we hear, we not asking for money through the shows, but it would be appreciated to have people who help sponsor us to have more equipment and better way of getting stuff done. But at the moment, we doing it. We putting in the work and putting in the time to bring the hitting topics and much, much more to you. So thank you all for the support. Thank you all. We really appreciate it. So from my end, I want to say good night, and I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. And Shen, you have something to say before we end out?
Oh yeah, you know it. Positive vibes bring positive results. Positive results mean you're accomplishing your goals just because you. So just make sure you're staying consistent with your goals, and you know, don't forget to rest. Don't forget to relax. It's equally important. Good night. Peace.